It's that time of the day that I look so forward to, joining you, my Israel Brief community from all around the world, for our daily dose of the news, hot off the presses in Israel and right here on the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks. As always, the Israel Brief is brought to you in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. More about where you can find them a little later. And as always, we bring you those top stories making headlines in Israel. We do it every Monday to Thursday. It is day 404. Somebody shared a tweet today. When you get an error message on your computer, it says, it's a 404 message, it says 404 not found. And he shared, which I thought was very poignant, 404, 101 not found, which of course alludes to the 101 hostages still held captive in the Gaza Strip now for 404 days. Let's take a look at those top stories making headlines and following the election in the United States and the victory of President-elect Donald Trump, who has started to name his cabinet, as he puts it together, following the announcement that he was tapping Elise Stefanik, the incredible governor who held the 3 Ivy League university presidents to account for allowing such virulent anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism on their campuses. She is now going to serve as the United States ambassador to the UN. But some of his other appointments have also been extremely pro-Israel. Last night, the president-elect announced that he had tapped the former governor of Arkansas and evangelical Christian Mike Huckabee to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel. And Huckabee is known for advocating for a policy of annexation of the West Bank. And he also announced Florida Senator Marco Rubio as the Secretary of State. There is a lot of video footage circulating showing Rubio basically harassed by a pro-Hamas, we'll call him, asking about ceasefires, and him saying Hamas has to be absolutely 100% eradicated. Meanwhile, Sky News Arabia has announced that Iran is delaying their attack on Israel following the election of President-elect Donald Trump. On the subject of presidents, Israel's President Isaac Herzog met with US President Joe Biden in the Oval Office yesterday. This follows President Herzog's address at the Jewish Federations of the United States conference in New York, in what I can only call was a very friendly meeting, very moving to see the body language between the two presidents. The president of Israel thanked President Biden for being a steadfast, unwavering friend to Israel and the Jewish people, not just during his presidency, but throughout his political career and his life. He also thanked Vice President Harris for her friendship and partnership. But I will read to you the very moving speech that President Herzog gave President Biden. He said, he spoke about the imperative of releasing the hostages, and he also spoke yesterday's attack by Hezbollah on a factory in Nahariya that killed 2 workers, 2 Israelis, men in their 40s, and also that drone attack on a kindergarten where, thank goodness, an incredible kindergarten teacher who had the presence of mind to move the children to the safety room, even without a siren, which saved their lives because the drone struck exactly where they were. But speaking about the imperative of releasing the hostages, Herzog said, "Mr. President, this has to be a major objective all throughout your term and the next president, because we have to make sure they cannot fulfill their evil intentions. Hamas must be eradicated." Sorry, I'm reading the little bit that's that part of the speech. I haven't got on my prompter here, but I'll go on with his speech. He says, "They're also a major engine of anti-Semitism, Mr. President, and I know how much you put a focus on fighting and combating anti-Semitism." And he goes on to say, "But most importantly, I'm here on behalf of the people of Israel, the nation of Israel and the state of Israel, to say to you, Mr. President, thank you very much. As we say in Hebrew, Toda Rabah. You've been an incredible friend of Israel and the Jewish people for decades, and we will never forget, ever, in history, how you stood up with us in our darkest hour, which became our finest hour. How you came to Israel a few days after the barbaric attack of October 7th, how you helped us and supported us with words and deeds. And I want to express our heartfelt thanks to you, Mr. President, which is a great legacy that you stood up with the Jewish people and the state of Israel, as you always did. So I brought you a little gift, which is an archaeological artifact from the foot of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, which has the word Joseph. And as you know, in the Bible, it says that Joseph will strengthen Israel. And clearly, Mr. President, he's done that. Thank you very much. So a very, very moving moment between the two presidents. President Biden will meet with President-elect Donald Trump to speak about the hostages and working to secure the release of the hostages. There are still 7 American citizens being held captive by Hamas. And we expect that a significant movement will be made by the following president as well. President Biden also met with the families of the 7 American hostages still being held captive. And I just want to go off piste for a second, but what I found very interesting was the language that Herzog used for Biden and the language that he used for Vice President Harris, not addressing her much at all, other than to say thank you for your friendship, thank you for your partnership. From an observational point of view, I just found that very, very interesting. And while we're speaking about the hostages, Palestinian Islamic Jihad released today another horrific psychological warfare video, this time of hostage Sasha Troufanov, who several videos have been released. In fact, this is believed to be the 3rd video. Troufanov marked his 2nd birthday in captivity yesterday. He is an employee of Amazon. Amazon have yet to even comment or advocate for the release of their employee. In the harrowing footage, a very, very pale and bearded Troufanov says that, time is running out. We are running out of food, water, electricity, and even basic products, and that every effort needs to be made to find a solution to secure their release. And he's very relieved. Mother has said she is extremely relieved to see that he is still alive, but time has run out and every effort must be made to secure the release of the hostages. Now, just a reminder that last week, Hamas turned down yet another ceasefire agreement, which would see a pause in hostilities and the release of hostages. I think this is about the 10th or 11th proposal that Hamas has flatly refused. And finally, onto some uplifting news. And Kibbutz Nir Oz, which was one of the worst hit kibbutzim on the 7th of October, have taken a vote. The members have taken a vote and they have elected to rebuild their kibbutz rather than relocate it. On the 7th of October, 1 in 4 of every resident on that kibbutz was either murdered or taken hostage. And we are all familiar with perhaps the most well-known of the hostages from Nir Oz, and that is the Bibas family. Yarden, his wife Shiri, and their 2 beautiful redhead boys, Ariel, 5 years old, and Kfir, who will be 2 in January. Now, on a personal note, I was recently in Kibbutz Nir Oz, and the images, the sights, the smells, the feeling of being there will stay with me for the rest of my life. Walking through what should have been a paradise, and these kibbutzim were really heaven on earth. It is just, words can't describe the level of destruction. You've seen it in my coverage on Lay of the Land, But words don't do justice to the scope of destruction. Nearly every single house scorched or burnt in its entirety. You know that many of the residents burnt, mutilated, raped inside those houses. The smell of death. I was there on day 360, and every now and then you could smell this horrific stench of smoke and decay and rot and that coppery smell of blood that's indescribable, but you know it when you smell it. It still hangs over Kibbutz Nir Oz. And I remember standing at the home, or what's left of the home of the Lipschitz family, or had Lipschitz still held captive in Gaza. He is a great-grandfather. And how they had their pride and joy, him and his wife, was their beautiful cactus garden, which has been absolutely burnt and disintegrated. And walking through, looking at the juxtaposition of bougainvillea trees and the burnt remnants of these homes and these memorials to the places where the members of the Kitat Konenut, the early response team, were just mowed down by Hamas terrorists. And then going into the kindergarten where little Ariel went to kindergarten, how it is scorched on the inside from the grenade that was thrown in, how difficult it was to breathe inside that kindergarten, and I had to go out, and how I fell apart seeing his little name on the place where he would hook his little school bag. And that's Kibbutz Nir Oz. And to hear that the residents want to rebuild, well, that fills my heart with an incredible amount of joy. That is the spirit of Israel. That is our resilience. And I think whatever we can do to help these kibbutznikim rebuild their shattered homes, you can bet we're going to do that. So those are our top stories. And just a reminder that you can find our Lay of the Land content on www.layoftheland.online. Guys, don't forget, tomorrow I bring you the mensch and the moron of the week. Some very, very interesting choices for this week. So make sure that you get your nominations through either via Facebook or via our website, or post them in the comments section below. We're on YouTube right here at the Israel Brief. If you like us, please consider subscribing. Oh, before I forget, the audience question. The audience question comes from Bernard, and it's such an important question. How could I forget? This is Bernard from Melbourne, who says, how do you explain to people who say that anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism? Okay, so let's define what Zionism is. Zionism is nothing short of the belief in the right of the state of Israel to exist, for the right of Jewish people to self-determination in their ancient ancestral homeland, and that's in the state of Israel. What was the land of Israel, now the state of Israel. Now, while we say it's anti-Semitic to say that Zionism is racism or colonialism or all those revolting pejoratives that people use, is that first of all, by saying that, you are denying our history in the land, you're denying our indigeneity, that we are the indigenous people of the land. We did not colonize it. In fact, Zionism is the most successful decolonization program or ideology in the world. And by saying that all the people in the world deserve a nation state of their own except the Jews, that is anti-Semitic. So in a very, very basic way, you can see why anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. So, wow. Thank you to the invisible angel who reminded me about Bernard's important question. Sorry, Bernard. You can consider me duly chastised. And just a reminder, you can find us on X at Lay of the Land 5, on LinkedIn, on my personal page at Rolene Marks, and on Instagram at Rolene_Marks. So guys, send your recommendations, send your questions through to us. And remember, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Much love to you all, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.